I was recently speaking to someone about Mayweather versus McGregor. Despite all the doubt, according to Boxing News, they're saying this fight's gonna happen because the money's too good. I suppose we'll see, but it's worth talking about. Not professionally, but college Division I level. I'm a former athlete myself, and I respect the integrity of certain sports and disciplines, but I also recognize and respect business and the entertainment side of sports. It is what it is, and so for whatever reason, if the people want to see this fight, then so be it. But I'd like to see it. Not that it means anything, but sure, why not? I wanted to see Chris Brown vs. Soulja Boy too. Meaningless, but I would go watch it. Regardless, I don't kid myself about what it's all about. Many fans already know this fight is not relevant or meaningful to the legacies of either fighter. It's all about more McGregor hype. And for all those involved, money. Among other things, Dana White is also a promoter. And he has a pattern and a formula for the past few years, which is making claims that his fighter can beat Floyd Mayweather. And he's back at it again. Is this fight interesting? As far as pop culture, showbiz, and money is concerned, absolutely. Is it justified? Absolutely not. Conor McGregor is holding it down in MMA. He's a better Ronda Rousey, if you will. He's exciting and a good enough champion combined with a big star persona that is doing wonders for himself and the UFC. Realistically, however, McGregor has not earned justification to call Floyd Mayweather out of retirement for a super fight. This is just more Dana Whiteisms, aside from which the two disciplines are not the same. In UFC, McGregor is the man right now, but he's not a super athlete able to leap tall buildings in a single bound or cross over fight disciplines and beat an undefeated Hall of Fame bound boxing legend. If he did, now that would be a crown on McGregor's head that would be outstanding, legendary, and unprecedented. You better believe I would jump on the McGregor hype train after that. But is that likely? Almost no expert opinions seem to think so. Now here's a dose of the truth. Realistically, if this fight were to make any sports competition sense at all, McGregor would need to fight at least 2 or 3 professional boxers first. And if he did that, fight 2 elite level boxers or bums and polish them off convincingly, that would immediately make the fight somewhat justifiable. In fact, Irish welterweight boxing champ Peter McDonough blasted McGregor, saying that he isn't even the best fighter in Ireland and that he should take a crack at him first before he waltzes in the ring to fight Mayweather. I love this kind of talk because I love intelligent arguments that shatter delusions, and the man is absolutely correct. Why should McGregor get to fight arguably one of the best of all time without one professional boxing victory under his belt? Yes, it's a huge draw, but logistically, there is a protocol to follow in all athletic competition. Why should he be able to jump ahead of everyone else and fight Mayweather? What about Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia? What about Terrence Crawford? What about Adrian Broner? And when you overhype one entity, you disrespect and overlook several others. I don't feed into hype, and when a man has a point, I give it to him. Regardless, something tells me White, McGregor, and the sport promotion powers that be will phase this little conundrum out of discussion. Another subliminal element to this is another opportunity for Mayweather hate to flourish, and more UFC versus boxing digs. All not very rational. First of all, MMA is not real anything goes street fighting either. And no, an MMA fighter doesn't automatically beat a boxer in a real street fight because they're trained in more fight disciplines. An advantage? Sure, but not a guaranteed win by default. You still must consider all the variables in each individual matchup, with no 2 matchups being the same. And if you subscribe to these cookie-cutter populist opinions, I would take your money in bets every time. In a street fight, boxers like, say, Marvin Hagler, Mike Tyson, or Sergey Kovalev, for example, are not going to stand at the mercy of a better wrestler or wait for an MMA fighter to spin kick them, pull a finger back, or whatever have you. Boxers are also conditioned athletes, trained to have fast hands, and will probably fracture your skull first. A street fight is off the cuff and wild. You could get hit with an overhand right to the temple while you're attempting a takedown. Nothing is a known given. Another annoying thing that keeps surfacing is the need to say, oh, well, if Mayweather fought McGregor in an MMA fight, oh, he would get killed. Okay, celebrating and repeating the idea that an MMA fighter would beat a boxer in an MMA fight is kind of a moot point, and water is wet. I'm missing something. What is the groundbreaking declaration here? All of these, well, in boxing, Mayweather wins, in MMA, Mayweather dies memes is more populist opinion, pointless nonsense. And again, an MMA fight is not the equivalent to street fight results. And saying an MMA fighter would beat someone who is not an MMA fighter is not really making a point worth saying. MMA is another combat sport that has rules and disciplines that any combat sport athlete would have to train for and get accustomed to in order to be competitive. Just like anything else. Roger Federer gets no points for pointing out Tiger Woods and saying, if I see you on the courts, it's going down. The hate is real, and they always find another sneaky way to revive Mayweather and discredit him. And I think it's funny. In addition to that, Mayweather didn't initially challenge McGregor to MMA. He was called out. McGregor challenged Mayweather to a boxing match. We know Mayweather is not trained for MMA. Who cares? And that is not relevant. They're not agreeing to fight in an octagon. With McGregor having a history of boxing under his belt and boasting of his knockout power, they're agreeing to fight in the ring. And that's that. Done.
You're the boxing guy. I'm the boxing guy. Watch me take over boxing.
When it comes to Dana White, this hard-on for Mayweather and boxing has a history to it. And problems with getting Mayweather has a history to it as well. Let's go back. In 2007, as UFC was soaring in popularity, Mayweather made a statement basically saying boxers could train into the UFC and dominate those athletes. In response, Dana White jumped in and issued a challenge to Mayweather to fight the then lightweight champion, Sean Sherk. Mayweather declined, as he should have. He had things to do. However, a lesser-known boxer, Kermit Cintron, accepted the challenge. Kermit Cintron is a very good boxer with a very respectable career. He's not elite top level, but solid. Boxing has a longer history of seasoned athletes, and to beat anyone in boxing, you have a lot to sift through. So when Cintron wanted to accept that offer, Dana White wanted none of that. Why? Because Cintron had a good chance of winning. Not saying he would have won, but he had a great chance, and White knew that. Cintron was a skilled boxer with a good wrestling background. He trained as an accomplished wrestler in high school. Now, the UFC was trying to earn its respect, so if they had this lesser-named boxer with his sharp boxing skills and good sound wrestling background walk into the octagon and give a tough challenge to a sitting UFC champion, or even win, no, that would not be good for the brand, and Dana White avoided that one like the plague and spoke no more of it. As the brand was growing, White preferred the sure bet spectacles, like when he matched former 3-weight boxing champ James Toney against the highly skilled veteran legend Randy Couture in the summer of 2010. They're both respectable legends, but it was clear Toney was a boxer who perhaps underestimated the challenge, or was there to grab a check, or both. And he had no ground game and stood no chance when Couture quickly took it to the floor. There is a star-making agenda in the UFC, and it is very selective. And right now, McGregor is the man. This star-making agenda that entails ignoring a lot of other champions to funnel most of the attention into one entity, and through hype, make that one entity seem larger than life, can backfire at any minute, as it already has. With Ronda, it was all about making outrageous claims that she could beat every woman and even take on some of the men, and of course, Floyd Mayweather. Now with McGregor, it's still about making outrageous claims, but some that are a little bit more viable. And so now the McGregor machine will keep boasting about moving up and down with weight, dominating in several divisions. However, moving up might not be that easy to do and might not happen just yet. McGregor is good. He has a powerful left and he can take on a lot. But if he moves up, he's got problems. One of those problems is Tyron Woodley. If he fights Woodley or fools around in that weight division, then Conor might have some trouble. I saw another person pick McGregor in that matchup, but honestly, I think either he's delusional or playing up for the fans, or maybe a fan himself. But there's just too many disadvantages. I'm a realist and I just have a hard time seeing Woodley fall to McGregor. Seriously, McGregor moved up and got handled by Nate Diaz. So rolling through Tyron Woodley, I don't really know about that. If he does and wins, again, that would be a legendary, unprecedented crown. And again, I would sing the praises too and jump on that bandwagon. But realistically, it's just too risky and too far out of reach. We also have old school legends like GSP and Anderson Silva showing a little interest in fighting McGregor because they want a piece of that fame and that money, the same way McGregor wants it from Mayweather. So all the bragging and taking on too much could eventually get him somewhere he doesn't want to be. Those guys are definitely past their heyday, but still dangerous for Conor in my opinion. But he's going to deal with all of that later. Right now, while the iron is hot, he's probably just going to keep trying to reel in that big payday fight. Potentially the biggest payout for any athlete in the year that it happens, all in one night. So, it's back to Mayweather. And the consolation prize, win, lose, or draw, is again, the money. Everybody wins regardless. I get it. So what should Mayweather do if they fight? I say Mayweather should give McGregor a round or 2 or 3 of the usual to test him out and treat him cautiously as he would anyone else. Because you never know. Also, a couple of rounds gives people more of their money's worth. Then, absolutely let it rip. Judging from comments, it's safe to say many people don't understand. Floyd fights the way he fights by his decision. He used to toss people beatings, which is what a lot of these casual fans don't understand. To give you a fun fact, at 20-0, Mayweather had a 70% knockout rate. In other words, out of 20 of his first fights, he knocked out 14 people. Don't get it twisted. At a specific turning point in his career, Floyd decided to be smarter about boxing, his life and career, and decided to fight with the new goal of making the most amount of money with the least amount of damage, because he was skilled enough to pull that off. He's not Rocky crying in the ring with swollen eyes yelling Adrian. He had the boxing skill and ability to outbox the field, so he did. But in this fight, I'd say it's time to make an exception for one last go around. I think he should just let the hands go. He was constantly being disrespected by those who don't understand his skill level. So he should just do this one up. I understood why he fought the way he fought. But now, for one last time, and assuming he's getting bucket loads of money, just go out hard and make it an exhibition. Make McGregor not speak ill of a boxer ever again. Because let's be honest, McGregor doesn't even have to win this thing in order to get respect. He's expected to lose. So if McGregor lets it rip on Mayweather, but loses, he still sort of wins. And that should be one of McGregor's plays. Try to create a moment, smother him with pressure and hurt him. He's not going to outbox him. Mayweather is going to watch his every move and dismantle him. So McGregor needs to keep unorthodox pressure on him and just try to look good. The goal for McGregor is not to fight his fight and hurt him. But if Mayweather goes ahead and disciplines McGregor and gives him the business, well, he probably won't get called out again by anyone anytime soon after that. In closing, Mayweather, McGregor, or whomever, no matter who you are, you have to make sure you're on your own path. If you get too caught up into something, you start to crave something too much. Or if you try to play someone else's game, you might fall off your own path and fall, period. Money's good because it can be used for good, but money's not everything. And all money isn't good money. Some things will always be more important than money. Your legacy as a professional and your character is always paramount. For all of us, we should try not to become too seduced by money or do things just because there's money in it. Who are you? What are you? That's what we need to be sure about before making any life decisions, deals, or compromises. If you've made 10 million, soak it in. You've been blessed. Take care of your family. But don't get the taste, so to speak, and sell your soul so you can make 100 more million. Because you'd be slowly drifting away from the respect of money toward the love of money, which is rampant in this day and age. There's so many forces trying to pull you into this matrix and worship of meaningless constructs. Making money is not bad. Work hard, go for it. Loving money is, and it's a road to spiritual oblivion. And if you're a teacher or a lawyer or a mechanic or whatever, you should try to be the best one and not let money dictate your aspirations or impair your better judgment. Some things are smart to avoid, but go out there, realize your gifts and talents, and go ahead and make money. But don't let money make you ... So as this thing plays out, if it does happen, I hope all people involved work on being the best versions of themselves as this thing plays out.